Good morning, everyone. I'm Tiffany Teal, and we are here today to talk about what to do when it feels like nothing's happening. Okay? So, if you're showing up today, staying faithful, doing the work, but results just aren't matching your effort, this one's for you. Does this sound familiar? Tell me your name and where you're joining from. I love knowing where our community is tuning in from. Because if you're in a season of waiting right now, I need a 1 in the chat. Okay. Let's see here. I've got a little something to add. Let's get Aunt Tam in here. And Nicole. Who else wants to come in? Meredith, maybe? Y'all come on in and join me. We are... Yeah. Hey, Cindy. So if you're in a season of waiting right now, type 1 in the chat. If you've ever said, God, when is it my turn? Drop a 2 in the chat. We're going to lead with this idea today, okay, which is the reality of waiting, the reality of the waiting season. Okay? You're not behind, but you are being built. God's timeline is still working, even when your timeline feels paused. You know what I'm missing? Some lipstick. So while we give everyone just a minute to jump on to this call, I'm going to put some chapstick on or some color on my lips. I look completely washed out. And there it is. Found it. So jump on in the room. We're talking about the reality of the waiting season today. God's timing, my timeline. Does it sound remotely familiar? Come on. All you mamas out there who are tired of taking calculators to the grocery store. Are you tired of telling your kid, no, we can't buy that extra toy? Maybe it's a Hot Wheel. Maybe it's just an extra piece of candy at the cash register, but you have to say, no, I'm sorry, that's not in the budget this week. If that's you, jump in, because this is a real chat today about the reality of being in the waiting season. So come on, join in on this room real quick for me, because I've been here, and waiting seasons can test your faith more than failure can. And I've had moments where I was doing everything right and still wondering, God, did I miss something? God uses delays to develop discipline. So how are you showing up during that waiting season? Are you just twiddling your thumbs and hoping that results are going to show up? Here's some truth about where I've been. It was probably early 2024 when I started thinking about passive income. I got really tired of the trading time for money concept. I needed more flexibility for my family with my time for my family. And I had to think, how can I work smarter? And so that's when I started thinking more about passive income. If you are thinking about passive income, come into the room today, because we're talking about that season of waiting. And when you want to transition from making money in exchange for your time to passive income, there's going to be a season of waiting, whether it's over an overnight wait and an anxious, how many people listen to my live, or how many people listen to my video, and you wake up and you check it first thing. So whether it's that kind of waiting or whether it is a long season of waiting. So jump in here today if that conversation has been something that's been on your mind? Because the reality of the waiting season is real. I've asked myself, God, what did I miss? What am I doing wrong? And it doesn't mean that I'm doing anything wrong. It just means that my timing isn't the same as his timing. Okay? So for me, it's been very important that I show up and be disciplined in the actions that are going to help me create that passive income. But I was really stubborn. And I did some things that you can learn from that you shouldn't do. Who wants to hear those things? Okay. So if it looks like nothing is working and you're behind, learn from me. Okay. So let's jump in on this story together. Here's the deal. I worked really hard and got really disciplined at showing up for my community and the students that I had in my program. I got really good at that, but I was creating this program and this content around my launch team. And I said, okay, I'm going to practice bringing people into this program with the concept of opening the doors, closing the doors, and then reopening the doors. So I'm going to do a free workshop to bring everybody into this program, and we'll get it started. And in 60 days, I'll do another free workshop and open the doors to the program again. We're 18 months in, and I've never opened the doors to that program again. But I'm still showing up. So I have discipline, but yet I'm not sharing. I'm not gaining visibility for that program. So what was I doing wrong? What was the delay? Okay. I was hiding it from everybody. Is that mindset and that approach going to breed results? It's definitely not going to breed instant results. People can't buy what they don't know exists. And obedience isn't necessarily about instant results. It's about long-term transformation. Maybe God knew that I wasn't going to show up and start gaining visibility immediately. And maybe he has been working and preparing me behind the scenes. That's possibly true. But it's also possibly true that I've known that I needed to develop discipline in showing up to create some visibility. Frankly, I've been scared. I've been scared of people turning away from what I have and what I've created. I've been scared to share it for lack of better words, it flopping or failing. I've been scared to share it because that would mean it's real and that I'm stepping forward in my calling. You know, there's lots of reasons why I've been scared to follow through. But at least I've formed some level of discipline during that time and during that preparation. And finally, I opened my eyes to what I was missing, which was the visibility and the community, right? I have not been building that. And so if you've been there and you've wondered, why not me? Why them? Why not me? I want you to remember this. Sometimes the layers have to be peeled back slowly so that we can continue to be prepared for that long-term transformation. Okay. So what have you been missing? Let's break it down. What have you been missing? And what are you going to change today? How can you be obedient? But how can you continue to show up in faith? If that resonates, will you drop a 1 in the chat? And if you're just joining me, do me a favor, drop your name in the chat and where you're from. I love to see our community come together from around the country. And so I'd love for you to just go ahead and tap that screen and drop your name and where you're tuning in from on the screen. In the chat for me. Okay. If you're faithful in the small things, God can trust you with the big ones. How many of you have felt tension between obedience and outcome before? Type a 1 in the chat if that's been you before. Okay, one more question to get you really thinking before we keep moving. Do you believe that God is more focused on your character or your calendar? Is God more focused on your character or your calendar? Let me know in the comments. Okay, well, what it looks like when nothing is coming your way. Is God working behind the scenes? Usually he is, right? Not usually. God is always working behind the scenes. He's protecting you from the things you can't see yet. So how do we trust the process? How do we trust God's timing instead of our timeline? Well, here's 3 ways that have helped me walk through waiting seasons without quitting. Okay, drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready for me to give you these 3 ways that you can survive the waiting season without quitting. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready to learn these, because these are very helpful, okay? And they're reminders that are going to maybe sting a little bit. Number 1, we keep moving even when it's messy. Stillness means stagnation. Okay. So keep taking those small intentional steps in obedience. If you're seeing and staying in motion right now, when you type a 1 in the chat, are you still moving even though it's messy and it feels uncomfortable? Because we have to learn how to get through that, right? We have to learn how to get through the uncomfortable stage of messy. All right. Number 2, steward what's in your hands. Be sure you take care of what God's already given you. Because if you want more, you have to show that you're capable of taking care of what he's already given you. And this burns because I know that I've made financial decisions that weren't the best. And then I've had less. So I feel very unworthy. I feel very much like I've failed my family by making bad decisions about our finances because I wasn't a good steward of them. And so now I feel like in that waiting, because of the way I grew up, sometimes I feel like I'm being punished. Does anybody else feel punished for past mistakes? Well, God's word, thankfully, makes it clear that that's not what he does to us. He might teach us some lessons, but he's not here punishing us for past mistakes, especially when we have given them to him and admitted our wrongs and we have turned from those ways, right? So how do we steward what is in our hands? Something God delays the more. Sometimes God delays more because we haven't fully managed what's already ours. So it doesn't mean he's eliminating more and preventing us from gaining more, but maybe he's delaying more, right? If that's the reminder that you needed, will you drop a 2 in the chat? The third way to keep walking through the waiting season without quitting is to stay connected to momentum. The number 1 way I stay attached to momentum is by staying connected to my community and mentors who remind me who I am when I forget. So finding that community here, finding that community in a place where they're going to be consistently there every time you need them is one of the best things you can do for yourself. And coming from a 20-year entrepreneur, let me tell you, it's one of the number one things that I've done poorly, and that is to get connected to a community. So you need a community with mentors who will remind you who you are when you forget. Have you ever felt isolated and lonely lately? Do you feel like you need community and accountability? Type a 3 in the chat if that's you. Do you feel isolated and know that you need accountability? Drop a 3 in the chat if that's you. Friends, faith isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about trusting that obedience will always produce fruit, even if it takes time to see it. So, who here has that kind of faith? Do you have enough faith to show up consistently and continue to pursue what God's put on your heart, even when you feel like you're not getting results? If you've been in a season of waiting, but you're ready to take that aligned, faithful action, I want to invite you to grab the Freedom Formula Blueprint from me, because this blueprint is really what shifted things for me. And this is coming from a do-it-yourself, know-it-all entrepreneur. Okay, I've been doing it all by myself, solopreneuring. Is that a word? Solopreneuring for 20 years. And I'm been like, I'll figure it out. And I figured it out. But this time what I figured out was I needed community. I needed accountability, and the training and mentorship. Guess what? It only accelerates the results. It reveals blind spots when you don't know that you're even having blind spots, and it provides resources that you don't have to spend the time figuring out on your own. So again, if you've been in that season of waiting, but you're ready to take that aligned and faithful action, I just want to invite you to grab that blueprint. It's free, and it could be your first step in obedience. Hey, I think I just received my first fan club heart. Thank you so much. Is that Mikkel? Thank you for that. I appreciate you showing up and saying hello. Today, we're actually talking about 3 ways that have helped me walk through the waiting season without quitting. And I'm going to review those here in just a minute. If you guys feel like God is more focused on your character than your calendar, will you drop a 1 in the chat for me? And if you know any other moms who need to hear these as I review them with you, go ahead and invite them in. Because sometimes God is just working on us behind the scenes, right? He's protecting us from something that we haven't seen yet. Who wants me to review these steps with you? I'll go through them real quick. Are you interested? Okay. Let's go ahead and quickly review. We've got 3 ways. 3 ways to walk through waiting seasons without quitting. Okay, the first season, keep moving even when it's messy. The second, steward what is in your hands. Take care of what he's given you. Right? Before he gives you more, he needs to know that you can take care of what you've been given already. And the third way is to stay connected to momentum. So find a community, get attached, find a mentor, and find some accountability. So if one of those points hits home with you, will you drop a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat? Which one of those makes the most impact for you today? Before we wrap up, I'm going to remind you that slow progress is still progress. God's not withholding, He's preparing. Michaela, you're right. Not Michaela, I'm sorry. I think I'm going to pronounce your name Mikkel. Will you tell me if I pronounced that correctly? I'd love to know if I pronounced your name right. I know you just came into the room and you did catch my review, but what you didn't catch was Mike L. Oh, Mikkel, right? Michael? Mike L. I don't know. I'm sorry. Sometimes I wish we could talk back and forth, right? I got it. Okay. So good to know. But so what you missed before you came into the room was me sharing my story about how I have been interested in pursuing passive income. We're coming up on 2 years now. And I started building out my own program. I was disciplined. I've been very disciplined. I've been showing up for this community that I'm coaching consistently, week after week. But I've been using systems that require a lot of work. They aren't simple. They're not duplicatable. So no one else wants to build the same thing I'm building, because even though they're getting a lot of value from me, they don't feel like they could do it themselves. But where I failed myself, and thankfully the Lord's been preparing me along the way, but where I've failed myself is that I haven't shown up for myself and created visibility. And people can't participate in, purchase, buy. They can't do those things when they don't know you have something to offer. So why would I pour into that and never share it with anybody? I was scared. I was scared of failure. I was scared people wouldn't want it. And I'd rather do it in private with the few people that I'm serving and serve them well than to share and have people tell me no and that they don't want it. And that's no fun. But God has slowly prepared me and opened my eyes to what was missing. And I finally got the courage to show up and learn some new skills, find out where my process was broken, figure out where I can save time and energy so that I can continue to grow and move forward and potentially help these women that I'm already working with and the ones I know I'm meant to serve, help them realize and see that there's a way that they can do the same thing I'm doing, and they can do it well with a simple system that's automated. Okay. So who here has heard of digital marketing and or is in a digital marketing program already? We drop a 1 in the chat if you know what it is. Drop a 2 in the chat if you're popping in the room and you've just been curious, like, what do people mean when they bought a digital program? What does that mean? 1 or a 2? You are familiar, or 2, you're curious what that means. Well, with your permission, I'm going to share a little bit about the blueprint because it's free and you can go grab that blueprint and get started now with that. And then you can just hit reply. I'm going to send it to you through your inbox. You can hit reply and ask me any questions that you're uncomfortable asking me here. Okay. But if you want to know more about digital marketing and how to automate a system that's going to work for you behind the scenes and teach you how to do income earning activities in just a few hours a day, you need this Freedom Formula Blueprint. Digital marketing is showing up in a digital space to sell or promote. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you. So if you are here and you're not familiar with digital marketing, it is when you, okay, thanks. We'll chat soon. So it is when you show up online in a digital space on the platform of your choice and you promote or sell a digital product or promote a product digitally. So the TikTok shop, for example, it is a digital platform, a digital store that sells tangible, real products, right? But the people that promote those products are promoting them digitally, online, on that digital platform. So that's what digital marketing is. And everybody needs it, whether you have a storefront, whether you have digital products, or whether you have physical products, or whether you have a course or whatnot to promote. So as we wrap up, I just want to I just want to remind you that if things are moving slow, God's not withholding, He's preparing. Okay. And the Digital Marketing Freedom Formula Blueprint is going to help you identify what has been missing from your existing process so that you can feel more comfortable as you step forward in the digital marketing space. Okay? God's timing versus my timing. Okay? If progress feels slow, you're going to want to catch this replay over on YouTube because this is just where we are talking about slow progress still being progress. Talking about how behind the scenes we are getting prepared. God's not always withholding, but He could be delaying the results you're looking for due to the preparation that still needs to be done. But as we've talked about earlier this week, it's important to still continue to show up and to be obedient. So if you feel that nudge, just comment called right here. Drop called in the chat over here. Let me just do you a quick favor. Let's give you a QR code. There you go. There's a QR code on screen over here. Just scan that QR code. You'll be taken to a page where all you got to do is enter your email address, and I'll send that blueprint straight over to you through email. Over here, if you want a copy of that, which I'd love to send your way, just drop called in the chat. Today, we've been talking about God's timing versus our timeline. How do we trust the process when progress feels slow? And a little bit about the Legacy Builders program. We've talked a little bit about that too. So if you want to learn more about Legacy Builders and how this interactive mentorship coaching program works, then I'd love to share that with you. We have multiple price points that you can come into the program with so that you can get started at a price that works for you, and you can always upgrade, okay? But inside, you will always get connected inside our community, which is one of my favorite areas online right now, and you're not going to want to miss that. So Don't miss out on that community. Okay, before we go and wrap up, if you're choosing to trust God's timing this week, will you drop trust in the chat for me? If you are willing to trust his timing, drop a trust in the chat for me. All right. Well, I hope that you've been reminded that waiting doesn't mean wasted. Let me pray for us real quick. Lord, thank you for your perfect timing. Teach us to trust you in the in-between and give us peace in our process and faith to keep walking. Amen. Thanks, friends. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. It's a beautiful Wednesday here in Georgia. Our weather has moved from super cold to a little bit warmer, and is probably going to get even warmer. So, all right. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.